Hello everyone and welcome to another video. In this video we will be talking about an important concept that is asked in any USMLE step exam. So it's going to be helpful for step 1, 2 and 3, and that is the visual pathway lesions. So in order to understand visual pathways, we need to first know how they are built up, and like what are the pathways, where do they go, and a general idea of how they are. And then once you have a good understanding of that, the normal pathways, then you will have a good understanding of the lesions. So first, so we have the left eye here and we have the right eye here. So what you need to know is that the retina, the retinal pathways are opposite to the visual field. What I mean by that is that this is towards the nose is called the nasal retina, and away from the nose to the lateral side is called the temporal retina. So the nasal retina actually will help you see the lateral or the temporal part of the visual field, while the temporal retina is gonna help you see the nasal part of the visual field. So they are opposite. So that's the first concept you need to know. Then there are these pathways. So the nasal pathway is going to come here. The red part is the nasal pathway here, is going to come here, and then it's going to cross. So the medial cross, while the lateral just stay on their own. Ipsilaterally. Here again, the nasal fibers, the nasal from the nasal retina, they are going to cross, and while the lateral just stay on their own tract. Alright, so now we can just start talking about lesions one by one. So let's first talk about, let's say if you have a lesion here on the right side. So this visual field is going to look something like this. It's going to cause scotoma, and because we are affecting which part of the nasal, the temporal part of the retina. So if you're affecting the temporal part of the retina, you will have a defect in the visual field on the nasal part. So it's going to be, this is the nasal part, this is the temporal part. So you are going to not see here, for example. This is called scotoma. So that's the first lesion. So first we have this lesion. Then let's go a bit down, and let's say if this has a lesion, what happens? So this is, again, this is on the right side. Remember, both the temporal and the nasal retina are affected. So in the second one, you are going to see something like this. You are not going to see anything. So you have a complete loss of vision in that eye, and this is called anopsia. So here it's on the right side, so it's called right anopsia. This one is called scotoma. Now the third lesion, we can come down and say, let's say this area is lesioned. So this is the third one. So remember, this is very, very important to know. So here they can give you there's a pituitary sitting here, like the pituitary sella turcica. So anything that causes enlargement of the pituitary is going to cause the lesion of this area. So that's important to know. Pituitary adenomas cause the lesion. So this is the third one, and let's see what's going to happen here. So here, which fibers are affected? The nasal retina of both eyes. So this is going to be, so because if it's nasal, they will see the temporal part of the retina. So you're not going to see temporal parts of each retina. So this and this area are going to be affected of both the eyes. So if you have a lesion in the third part, you are going to have something like this. This is one eye and this is the other eye. So you are not going to see the temporal parts. So this is a temporal part and this is a temporal part. You are not going to see this because both the nasals are affected of the retina. The nasal fibers of the retina are affected, and because they're opposite to the temporal, visual field is going to be lost. So you cannot see laterally, but the medial you can see. So this is the third. Now the fourth one is this lesion. Let's say this lesion, the lesion occurs here. So this is going to be these fibers, the nasal fibers, the temporal retina fibers, because the temporal see the nasal visual field. So you are going to see something like this. So the nasal are going to be affected. So this is the nasal close towards the nose. They are going to be affected. So you are not going to see here in the lesion here. So commonly this lesion can occur because of there is an internal carotid artery here, and if there is aneurysm of that carotid artery, it can compress these fibers and cause this lesion. So this is because this is on the right side, this is called right nasal hemianopsia. The nasal is affected, so it's called the right, because it's on the right side, right nasal hemianopsia. The other one was bitemporal. This one is bitemporal because both the eye fibers are affected. Now, let's further go down, and let's say we have a lesion here. So if a lesion is here, let's see what's going to happen. And remember, again, there are both the fibers, right? Both eyes will be affected. So here, because it's temporal, so nasal fields will be affected here. So here, the nasal fields are affected. And also here, because it's from the medial, they are coming. So again, the nasal field of the other eye, it will also be affected. So you are going to have binasal hemianopsia. Binasal. So it's not going to be binasal because here we have the temporal, so the nasal part of this is going to be affected, and also because it's nasal, so the temporal part of this is going to be affected. So the temporal part, so the nasal field is affected, and here is the nasal, so we will have the temporal field affected. So this is called left homonymous hemianopsia. Left homonymous hemianopsia. So it's going to be left homonymous hemianopsia. That is going to be the 5th lesion. And it's going to be, because it's nasal, so this area is going to be affected, not this one. So let me draw this again, so there is no confusion. So it's going to be like this. Left homonymous hemianopsia. Alright, so now this you need to know a bit about. So this is called the Mayer loop. Mayer loop. And the Mayer loop is in the it's a temporal lobe, and it is supplied by the MCA. Another thing you need to know about this Mayer loop is that if this is the retina, let's say, and this is the inferior quadrant, this is where they get the information from. So which on the visual field, which area will be represented by this inferior quadrant of the retina, and it's going to be superior quadrant because it's opposite. So if you have a lesion here in the Mayer loop, you are going to have superior quadrant anopia. So let's say we have on the right side here in the Mayer loop MCA stroke, temporal lobe stroke. So you are going to have quadrant anopia. So this is going to be left upper quadrant anopia. Left homonymous upper quadrant anopia. So let's say this is the lesion. So we have the left side, so it's going to be this quadrant here on the one side, and then the other side here. So both eyes, upper quadrants, visual field will be lost. So this is the Mayer loop. Another is, you need to know this one. This is called dorsal optic radiation. Dorsal optic radiation, they are in the parietal lobe, and again, it's MCA supply. So, and they will be the opposite. They supply the retina here. In the superior retina, they get the fibers. So they will represent the inferior quadrants. So if you have a lesion here, for example, MCA stroke, parietal lesions, you are going to have inferior quadrant anopia, left inferior quadrant anopia. Left inferior quadrant anopia. Then another thing you need to know is the last lesion, and it's going to be the occipital lobe. So you need to know a few things about the occipital lobe. It is supplied by MCA, plus it is supplied by the PCA. So the macula, which is the area in the eye that has the color vision, it is supplied by both the MCA and also the PCA. So if you have a stroke, let's say here, you will have macular sparing, because let's say if you have a stroke in MCA, PCA is still there to supply the macula. So macula will be spared unless you have at the same time strokes of both PCA and ACA. So let's say a lesion is here on the right parietal lobe. Let's say it's a PCA stroke. So you are gonna have macular left homonymous hemianopia with macular sparing. So this is gonna be something like this. This is spared. This sparing here is macula. So it's going to be both the visual fields, but the macula, it will be spared. So macula is spared. Macula is spared. This is how they can give you. So macular is spared because it has dual blood supply. So hope this video was helpful, and remember, this is a high yield concept that they can definitely give you in any USMLE step exams. If anyone likes the video, they can support the channel. Links will be in the description. Also, if anyone requires tutoring, they can email me here for any USMLE step exam. Thank you for watching.